Holy cow, your armor is awesome. Yeah, I know. I look like a badass. And just look at my adorable little gun. Look at it.
Alright, that's enough, troops. Less talking, more dark-siding.
Oh, the Force, it's a chick. And she's huge. And I'd still hit that. Hey Rangers, welcome to Super On Point Reviews. My name's Steve, and today I'll be going over the Disney Store Star Wars Elite Series Captain Phasma action figure. This is a die-cast action figure you can only find at the Disney Store, so if you guys are interested in Captain Phasma after this review, best place to go check him out. And the main reason I picked up this action figure is because, one, Stormtrooper. I love Stormtroopers. Two, it's a unique Stormtrooper, which pretty much already gives it bonus points for me. And it's also a chick, so this figure is just winning. And also, it's pretty much all die-cast for the most part, so it's something that's pretty unique for my collection, and I just thought it'd be really cool to pick up a few of these figures to add to it. Also to mention, she is from the new Star Wars film, The Force Awakens, Episode 7, and I don't know a whole lot about her character because I'm trying to stay as much spoiler-free of that movie as possible. But without further ado, for the packaging, I actually really like it for the most part, where it has this nice metallic look to it to the front, so it helps to convey the figure inside the box and also help to represent the die-cast that this figure is primarily made out of. You get the Star Wars Elite Series on the bottom, Captain Phasma, die-cast, Disney Store up at the top. Also, the figure sits in there pretty nicely and looks pretty awesome standing in there. On the side of the packaging, just get more of the metallic, Star Wars The Force Awakens, Star Wars. Other side, a lot more of the same. Top of the packaging, not a whole lot going on there. But for the back, gives you a little bit of information about what the Elite Series is and a little bit more information about Captain Phasma. Which, if you guys want to read about the Elite Series real quick, I'll let you. And a little bit of information about Captain Phasma. And then some legal mumbo jumbo and stuff I can't understand. So let's get this chick opened up out of her cardboard prison. Alright, so now that we're Captain Phasma opened up out of her cardboard prison, first we're going to go over a few of her accessories, starting with her display stand, which what you get is the Star Wars emblem right here, and then some textures right here where it kind of helps replicate like the sides of the starships, like the Death Star and whatnot. Looks really cool. And on the bottom of it, you just get a little bit of copyright information, which is, it's going to be on everything. But just overall, made out of thick black plastic here. Nothing too impressive, just looks okay. Kind of wish there was a little bit more details on here just to help make it pop a little bit more, maybe some coloring. But for a stand, works for me. And how you get her on here, which I actually do recommend keeping her on this when you're displaying her, because she's actually a very heavy figure, and it's kind of hard to get her to stand up by herself, as you can see. It's mainly because, to go over slightly the details right here, is that the upper body is primarily die-cast, same with the legs here, while the feet bits are actually plastic, so it helps with the weight distribution and whatnot. It kind of puts a lot more pressure on these feet, and it's just hard to try to get them to keep her upright, because the joint here actually will give a little bit once it starts moving back. But to get it on the stand, you just literally peg hole in the bottom of the feet, stick it right onto the peg on the stand. Pretty easy to do. And now you got your Captain Phasma standing on her stand, and she's still falling backwards. Okay, it's failing a bit. Get on there. There we go. Now she can fail some more. Alright, one more time before I change my mind. Get her on the stand. Now she's standing pretty good. Looks cool on it. And next we move on to her blaster rifle, which I know for the standard Stormtroopers in episode 4 through 6, they use E-Web 11 blaster rifles, which this looks pretty much like those, except this one actually has a stock at the end of it. Also, the scope's pretty huge on these things. But overall, it looks really cool, where it has kind of the same metallic that it has going on with her armor here, except for the gun, to me, has a little bit more of a gold tinge to it, while Captain Phasma here is primarily silver, so it's kind of just a little bit contrasting, but for the most part, still looks really good with her holding on to it. There's a lot of very nice details on here. We get a nice black here on the barrel here, same with on the stock here. The scope actually looks pretty cool, although maybe we would like to see a little bit more black at the tip of it, but it still looks really nice. Got the guard here, the little thingy hanging underneath it. Not exactly sure what that's for. I think that's for the stock, where if you fold it down, you actually have it like supporting, so you can get a little better stability. Have the clip on the side here. Overall, the gun has a lot of very nice details for it, especially for this figure running about $25. This actually still looks very awesome. Now, the one thing that is not so awesome, at least for me anyways, is getting her to hold this gun, which for the most part, it goes in her hand pretty easily, but the way her fingers are positioned, it doesn't really go into the trigger guard right here. So that's a bit of a bummer. And then once you get it in, it just kind of flops in there loose. You can get it to secure in there pretty well, but for the most part, it just takes a little bit of finessing. Because once you get it in there, as long as it's not going to be anywhere where you're going to be moving things around. And then, come on. There we go. If you're not going to be moving anything around, it will stay in there pretty nice and secure. But it just doesn't look natural holding it that way for the most part. Because you get her to bend her elbow a little bit, but then it's just kind of sitting up high. So you don't want it primarily down, but then it just doesn't really rest in there looking pretty good for the most part. As you see, it's already trying to want to pop out of that position. So now it looks okay from that side, but from this side, not quite as reasonable. And just to show you guys, in the other hand, it doesn't really stay in there that well either. As you can see, it's flopping in there pretty loosely. Again, you can get it to secure itself in there, but it still just kind of looks weird, and it's a pain in the butt, especially for something that this is meant to hold on to this. But bring Captain Phasma in for a closer look. The head sculpt on here is actually really, really nice. Really like the gloss black that they use here for the visor on the Stormtrooper helmet. It has this nice, more matte black here on the mouth area piece right here. And the rest of it is just this nice metallic silver paint job. But it just looks really cool for the most part. Okay, I imagine this is to help replicate itself towards Kylo Ren. Because especially the way the back of the helmet looks, it just has that same kind of sleekness that that helmet actually has. Because a lot of Stormtroopers that you see over the course, usually what they are inspired by, the helmet kind of helps replicate that. Like the Clone Troopers look like Jango Fett's. Darth Vader's looks more like Stormtroopers. And I imagine this is supposed to more help replicate Kylo Ren's look. Which overall, I think it looks really cool. Like, these Stormtroopers look freaking awesome. And then the head right here is made out of entirely of plastic. Same with the cape here, which I kind of wish they would have went with the cloth, kind of like what they do with the Black Series. Though it still works for the most part, because looking at it, still looks like a cape. Like, the plastic molding here is actually really nice. Has a lot of give here, because it's definitely a softer plastic here. So moving it around, you're not going to really worry about it too much. And then same on the details on the back, look really nice as well. It even has this little pocket thing right there. But it's primarily matte black, and then you also have a little bit of red right here just for the front of it to give it a little bit more detail. And then for her body, pretty much the rest of it is standard Stormtrooper fare. Because you'll see right here, her armor actually does look very nice though, where you got a lot of nice textures here. Which this is die cast right here. Same with the entirety of the arm, except for the hand is made out of plastic. And same, the belt is made out of plastic. The crotch region right here and the legs are die cast, and then the feet are made out of plastic, which is the oddest choice in this entire figure, because I imagine with all the weight up here, you probably want these to be made out of metal too, just so that it helps to even out the weight distribution, so that it's not feet are stupid light, everything else is heavy, which is the first problem I have in this figure, is that it just, even though the joint is fairly stiff in there, it's just, the feet just aren't big enough to support all of the weight of this figure. So if you can be keeping her upright, stands perfectly well. But once you want to try to get it to any kind of positioning, it doesn't really stand up too well in my opinion. But being made out of die cast, like the armor still looks really nice for the most part. Even got some details on the back here, which is nice because I imagine they could have spared some expense with the cape covering this section, but still looks very nice overall, except you can see all the screw holes here for the keep the figure together, which doesn't look that great, but then again, it's going to be covered up by the cape, so nothing really to complain here. Arm detail look very nice as well. We have the arm pad on the top here, some details here on the forearm here to help replicate the armor look. Looks really nice. And then for the most part, the paint job on the upper body looks really good on Captain Phasma. There's not really any noticeable runs in the paint. Looks very clean. Has this very nice metallic finish to it. Same with the belt here too. Looks really cool. Has a lot of pockets here for your ammo clips, whatnot. Legs look very nice and very sleek as well. Then you have, which is what I would say the first little ugly bit right here is where the two pieces connect together to form the leg, which these would be molded separately, which you can kind of notice a little bit of chipping in there, but it's nothing too bad. Same with on the other side, you'll notice a little bit of it as well. But still looks really good for the most part, especially looking at it slightly back. It's nothing really major, it's just more nitpicks right there. And then for the lower part of the legs, look really nice as well. Paint job still looks nice, except for Some of the details right here is not quite as predominant as it probably should be. Same with here on the other side of the leg as well. Feet look really good too. Very nicely molded. Have some black here for the soles and the bottom of the feet. So in terms of details, this figure does look really nice. For the most part, paint job looks awesome. The details on this, especially this thing being primarily die-cast, still actually holds a lot of the details very nicely. Especially since this figure only runs about $5 more than your standard Black Series figure. In terms of details, like, this figure actually stands up pretty well to those. But the one thing that's a little bit lacking on the Elite Series in terms of being comparable to the Black Series is the articulation, which for the head sculpt can look that far up, that far down, can rotate side to side, but with the cape here, it's kind of hard to get to go all the way around, but it is possible. For the arms, can move up about that far because of the cape, can move back about that far, can move outwards about that far, inwards about that far. And then that's it for the shoulder joint. Same with the elbow joint here. You can only get a bend to it, which is the first problem I have comparing it to the Black Series, is that the articulation for the arms is not nearly as exciting as what you get with those. You also get a rotation here at the end, but that's it. So for the most part, she's going to be pointing forward, maybe have her hand pointing, so she's actually like pointing at a trooper, holding the gun forward, and that's about it, because she's not going to be able to actually double fist the weapon. So if you have her actually holding the gun, if I can get it in there, there we go. If you have her holding the gun, there's no way she's going to bring her other arm to be able to hold on to that thing, so the other arm's just going to be kind of sitting out there, and I just lost a gun, yeah! So in terms of displayability, that's a little bit lacking. At the waist, you do have a rotation here though, which is nice. For the legs, can move outwards about that far, inwards about that far, forwards about that far, and back about that far, which is not that great. Then for the knees, can bend about that far back, that far forward. No rotation at the knee, though there is a little bit of rotation here at the feet. Can bend up about that far and down about that far. And for some quick comparisons, here we have the Elite Series Captain Phasma next to the Elite Series Flame Trooper. Which is, alright, so these figures from the same series, she's so freaking huge compared next to this normal Flame Trooper. Like, oh my derb. Which the Flame Trooper is about the same size as most of the other figures in the line, so it's like, she's a freaking Amazon, you know, just towering over everyone. Which I'm not 100% sure this is actually supposed to be a legit scale, because even looking at some of the other figures online for like the SH Figuarts version of this character, she's still primarily bigger than all the other troopers, so I think it's really cool that they're going with her actually being like a massive girl in comparison to all these other troopers. I think it makes her very imposing and a very intimidating character. And here she is next to some Black Series action figures with the Star Wars Episode 4 Stormtrooper and the Clone Wars Captain. And here she is next to the Black Series Boba Fett and Kylo Ren, which I think she could take both these guys. And because we're primarily a giant monster channel, and also there was the Gamera 2015 trailer just came up, and we did a video over on the Geek Chest. Here she is next to the SH Monstars Gamera 96 and the Revoltech Gamera 1967. So overall, the Elite Series Captain Phasma action figure, I think it's okay. I like the details, I like that it's primarily die-cast, and also it's an actual large action figure. But where she's lacking a bit is articulation, which while she still has a decent amount of it, it's not nearly as great as the Black Series. So her posability, even with what she has, is still limited. She has a hard time holding weapons, she has a hard time standing up, and she's going to be a little bit boring standing on your shelf. But she still has a lot of merit because she's a very hefty figure, she's huge, and she's only around 25 bucks. So if you guys are looking for a nice figure for Captain Phasma, this is definitely a way to go. But if you guys want a very nice Captain Phasma and has a lot of articulation posability, especially with your Black Series action figures, then I would just wait for the Black Series to actually put her out, because I imagine they will eventually. Or there's also the SH Figuarts one coming out sometime in the near future, which looks freaking crazy. So if you guys want a super posable version of this character, then I would just wait a little while longer. But what do you guys think? Have you guys picked up the Elite Series Captain Phasma? What's your favorite Stormtrooper? Or is the Rebels just more your thing? Please let us know in the comments. A little closer picture of this chick on Facebook. You want to click the link in the description below. Help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button. Subscribe, become a Ranger today, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.